We finally have a budget date. The budget will be presented on the 23rd of July by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and it's an important one for several reasons. We're going to tell you in this video what the street, that is what the market, is looking out for. First off, why is this such a historic budget? Well, it's budget 1 of Modi 3.0. So as the first budget of the third term, it's expected that this will also set out the roadmap for what this government wants to achieve in its third term. That will also be very important directionally. It's also breaking a record. It's historic because Nirmala Sitharaman will become the first finance minister to present 7 consecutive budgets, and of course by the end of this term will probably break the highest record as well. Now, it's also a key budget for several other reasons. Remember, just before the elections there was an RBI bonanza of 2.1 lakh crore rupees that the government of India received. What the street will watch, what policy watchers, what everyone will want to know is how has that money been utilized? Is it being used to reduce fiscal deficit targets and go tighter there? Will there be expenditure? Will there be more agri expenditure considering the kind of results we saw in the elections, which eventually was not the best case scenario for the BJP? All of that will be viewed. But let me go into it point by point. Let's first start with the fiscal deficit. If you recall, in the interim budget, the finance minister set a fiscal deficit target for FY25 at 5.1%. Now, it's being expected that that target might be brought down to even 4.9 or 5% thanks to this RBI bonanza, or this buffer that the government now has in its pocket. The other question is that is there a reduction in capital expenditure or an increase? Remember, there was a significant capex announcement made in the interim budget as well. So is that tweaked? Does she tweak it, follow on, or increase it? Is the question. Now let's come to the consumption side of things. Even as India's economy is growing at a great pace, we grew 8% at GDP last quarter, concerns about consumption at the bottom of the pyramid still sustain. Essentially, you need to put more money in the pockets of people so that they can spend more. Now, how do you do that? And now here's where the speculation begins. Will there be some relief on taxes? Remember, the new tax regime has been seeing some sweeteners given every budget so that more people move to it. Frankly, it's not been such a huge success so far, and many still prefer the old tax regime. So do you increase the standard deduction, the level from which you start paying taxes? That's one option. Do you make the new tax regime even easier? That's another option. Or do you increase the amount you get under a Section 80C? Now remember, you still have only 1,50,000 deduction in Section 80C. This has not changed in the last 10 years, and anyone would argue, with inflation being what it is, the Indian taxpayer deserves more. So that's one point. Now let's come to the focus on agriculture, and this is an important one because the BJP did lose out in large agrarian states like Uttar Pradesh, so there could be a larger focus there. This is something that was promised in pre-election polls as well. That will be one to watch. And one last, or a couple of last points actually. One will be the PLI schemes. Remember, the government needs to increase jobs. What increases jobs? It's manufacturing. And for that, you have a PLI scheme, which is a performance-linked production-linked incentive scheme. Does the government increase the scope of it, add more sectors into it? That will be seen. And the last point is, and this is being reported everywhere, that a key ally in this government, the TDP, wants a big allocation for the state of Andhra Pradesh. One report cites the demand of 100,000 crore rupees allocation in the budget for the state of Andhra Pradesh. How much does the union government or the BJP give in will be watched very, very carefully.